Hello and welcome to Rule the Waves 3, playing as Japan on Super Large Plus Plus, starting in 1890 and now finally having reached the 20th century, or we will anyway, at some point during this episode. So we'll play through 1899 and then we will have a review of the start of 1900, and we will also have a retrospective of the past decade. So let's jump in. So here we are again. We already did the start of year brief in the previous episode, so no need to do a new one. But a quick recap: we are at peace, and our economy is doing quite well. We are going to actually boost research all the way, because going forward now, because we can afford it, because there aren't that many things that are interesting to build, and also because from around 1900 or slightly before 1900 and for several more years there are lots of techs coming in, so you cannot have too much research in this period. Still hope to be able to steal some techs. I still hope someone will trade me techs. I still hope tension with Great Britain will go down and we will remain allies, but we'll see. We have 8 ships building, so our construction rate is good. Our funds are above my sort of, you have 50,000 at least in the bank level. I have fortifications in every area that I control. Could have more fortifications, but one is sufficient now. Mines are a thing, so we definitely need to think about mine sweeping. We haven't researched any mines yet. We don't have, there's a research thingy under naval, under fleet tactics. No, Russia, no, it says Naval Academy, but I can swear that we had a ship strike a mine, so somewhere they got mines. Maybe they got mines from fortifications, that this happens automatically at some date. They definitely had a cruiser strike a mine. This one. January 1898. I don't think I've ever shown you this, but if you click on a ship and click ship history, you can see the most important stuff that happens to this ship. So the Ashigara was laid down in 91. It was commissioned in 93. Commander, battles, scored so many hits, reserve, active, battle, light damage, no damage, night damage. Pretty cool. And then finally she got mined, very sad. The first ship of the laid down in June. No. Sorry. Anything else before we proceed? No, we are good officers. How are the officers doing? Fleet admirals have been promoted out of actual command. One is above average. And remove dead. Tired, that's not relevant. And click for only unassigned. Why staff dudes show up, I don't know. We have one above average admiral, but the rest are average. We need to repair these guys, so let's hit turn. The increase spending. I want to increase spending. For Parliament, here's that. Good under rebuild, and we'll be finished in 0 months. Well, let's see if we can see anything interesting. No, just a lot of commissionings and stuff, so not interesting. And now we can see the Azama gas ship Izumo also loses a lot of speed. Oh, that's unfortunate, but it is into reserve. Sad to see the experience go, but what can you do? Kurutaka is served. Finish repairing this in case we want to use it. It's just a few hundred game dollars, so lots of commissionings. Promotion. Admiral Sato has shown himself to be of wasn't he down? Sometimes I think I'm just confused. Never mind, because we had this Sato that we started the game with. He was like a commander or a captain, I think, and he was above average. And for a while, he was not above average, or at least I imagined he wasn't. And then I got confused. Whatever. We're almost ready here, which is good and also a problem because now we really have to get some new stuff building, and to start building new stuff we need to develop new designs, because all of these are Harvey stuff. Although I have kept telling me that this one is Harvey armor, but can that really be true? The first one was built, designed and built very early on. I don't think they actually have Harvey armor. I don't think I've just been telling myself that. The confusion here is total. Okay. That means they are quite squishy, if not. Harvey is pretty early. But could the British have gotten it as early as sort of 1890? Sounds unlikely. Maybe I talked about updating the class to Harvey, but because of the extra speed I didn't. So I built 4 additional cruisers with weak armor, but never mind, it's not a big deal. Okay, so this one goes back into mothball, and this one goes into reserve. Now we should have no active ships and no ships building. No ships repairing, yeah. And we have 15,000 in the negative, and we have docks building almost done. AI can assign a commander here. New battleships coming out. And soon be rid of this foe, or at least I think we can. Do me. These will all lose speed soon, so. Good. Good enough. Pet PV. Back off for a back off. Yes. 2 docks completed. What are the Italians building? It's 20. 2-inch guns. Someone should have a talk with the AI regarding stocks, intelligence, average, that's fine. Harada, promote. Build one immediately. 15,000. Everyone's capped at 15 except China, of course, but we have 15,500. We had 2,000 ton increase events and one 500 ton, so that was good. Dazzle. Northwestern Spain, you lucky bastards. Nachi. Increased tensions, that's good. Definitely don't want to be in the green here forever. Don't have any useful commanders of average. Good administrator, but timid. Looking at some light cruiser designs because I think we're stuck having to build that. Subs. Oh. Okay. But also, so 4 bumps and 1 reduction. That looks much better. 6 and 4. I like the sound of that. But now we are... Division. I think 4 of those should do it. Have 12. Oh, China is in yellow. Okay. I would not be opposed to a sudden war with China. But absolutely would not be bad. Skies give division. Time to good stuff. That's very nice of them. Technology. Because now we can install the central rangefinder. We we were researching it already, so I'm not sure how much that saved us, but okay, still nice. That definitely goes into all my designs. Do a very quick one without any design study. See how much it weighs. Yeah, and totally fit it. It's not that heavy. Hey. Division at make flag. So we are up to 300,000, so still way behind everyone else. And our budget seems to have reduced slightly in comparison to our competitors. We were breathing Italy in the neck, but suddenly they pulled ahead. Building some battleships. These cruisers we have seen before. They have a huge deficiency in light cruisers. Still have only the 300-ton destroyer. Okay, now we got it. What do you recommend? Yes, we should extend it, but let's see if there is any logic here. The war lasted until December last year. Oh, a good December, yes. Better torpedoes. Your launches are more accurate. Can't complain. Crude surface condenser. Early subs. But what about guns? Gun research is odd, to say the least. But okay. We are getting closer to the 20th century or the 1900s. Very interesting. Things have been going well this year, I think. Even get a high tension, which did it increase one more? Well, it's crept up to 8 now. That's actually brilliant. I would not be opposed to a war with China for some extra reparations. But and we'll avoid any drops in budget because of peacetime and low tension. So this is very good. On the other hand, the previous war ended like a year ago, so it's a big chance of tension reducing events. So I would not be surprised if this drops back down, which is why I'm not mobilizing my entire fleet here. But now we only have 27,000 building at home, so we really need to start building something. I will postpone it again. Fire control, yes. Yes. No reason why not. But again, this is a minor benefit, really. Will help for the main guns, but if you remember, you have -2 quality main guns on these bad boys. So, yeah. No. It's not that important. Okay, we've reached 1900, so we need both a start of year review. We need to review the past 5 years, and I think we will add a little bonus section where we review the first decade and compare it to the starting position you can get if you start the game in 1900. That can be interesting. Finally, PowerPoint time. First up, we have the normal year start review. So 1900 analysis is the header. It's quite peaceful around the world, mostly. Russia's upset with both Japan and the US. Fair enough. China spiked. We had that one turn where we had 4 plus tension and 1 minus tension, and we may have gotten 1 tension up after that. So 8 is very nice. I don't think war will break out anytime soon. Not really, because of the recent war. For the first years after a war, there are plenty of tension reducing turn events, not sort of the pop-up events, but in the turn log. So I expect this to fluctuate a little bit and go down, but if we are lucky, we could get another 2, 3, 4 points increase because we control so many of their territories, and then we can farm them for monies. And we also avoid the problem of having too low tensions, which can impact our overall budget. So very good. I like it. Our alliance with Great Britain is ongoing. It was extended in 1899. I didn't get an answer to my question regarding if the duration is extended during wars. I asked on the Discord, but there was no reply. But I'm going to assume that that's actually the case. Maybe the duration is automatically extended for the duration of the war. So that long war with China and that 1 year of war with Russia plus 5 years, that seems to add up to a expiry date in 1899, which was when they asked if we wanted to extend. But I don't know how long. I think it's 2 years, the extension. Or is it 5 more years? We'll see. No, I don't know everything there is to know about this game. But that seems, I cannot guarantee that it works exactly like that, but it seems the most logical explanation. There is an alliance between France and US still ongoing. General, we have the world's biggest docks, and we are still building docks. Everyone else has exactly 15,000, like there is a sort of a cap there before 1900. That won't be exceeded unless the player exceeds it, probably. But I just popped over. So maybe they started building and we'll see some 16,000 docks soon. But in June, July, something like that, I will have my new dock size. Unrest remains at 0. Budget is pretty good. Base resources increased by nearly 400 just from natural growth. That's absolutely acceptable. We saw a tiny drop in colony resources from 1019 to 1008. And there is that gradual reduction in the value of colonies. I think that's a somewhat peculiar mechanic because given the rate at which budget grow, I don't see why colonies have to become less potent. The relative value would decrease anyway, so it seems a little weird, but it's not a big deal anyway. It's just a few points. Budget modifier remains at 16, so therefore we see an overall increase in our budget. And we see strong growth, and funds reserve remains fundamentally good. Now the fleet overview, all those old type CAs without armor but good speed are complete. We are building 4 new crop armored CAs in Great Britain, so those will naturally be lead ships, I would say, in future cruiser divisions. It should actually work out fine. Those new ones are 20 knots, but the older cruisers will start losing speed anyway, so it will kind of even out, I think. If finishing the last 2 Fujis, then we can scrap the legacy battleship, but we really should be building a new class of battleship. And local industry needs more builds, so yeah. We are, of course, still significantly behind. And playing on super large plus, yes, it gives us the same extra percentage as everyone else, but someone with a more powerful starting economy is in absolute terms benefiting a lot more. So you can see that even places like Italy and the US, which is just getting started, they have way bigger fleets than us. On the other hand, the war against Russia proved without any doubt that we can cut apart a fleet that's twice our size because they cannot effectively base into Northeast Asia. And the only other place we have assets in is in Southeast Asia, which is adjacent and should be easy to defend. So fleet weak, strategic position compensates. Yeah, we need to build more heavy cruisers, and we are. We also need more battleships, but we haven't started on that yet. Still acceptable, I would say, in the light cruiser department. We could always use more, but you can see from tonnage that we are rocking pretty solid quality light cruisers. And also, they don't really do much damage in battle unless you micromanage them, so yeah. Still haven't started building DDs. Research. Yeah, I've increased the research to 12%. Little bit wasteful, but there is so much coming now around. Now at the start of the 20th century, we really should be sort of researching all that we can. And we have to accept that we are still a small but growing economy. So 10% of a small economy, that's not very much. We have tweaked some priorities also in anticipation of the many new techs. Research-wise, it was actually a horrible year. We got 2 new techs, but both were purchased from Italy and the US, respectively. So we are mostly on par with other nations, but we remain weak in guns. There are no changes in Intel. We stole the tech from Germany while they were still low star. That's the only tech theft thus far. Sad. So over to the half-decade review. Some quick facts. We have gone from 9, almost 10,000 to almost 13,500 base resources. Colonies remain unchanged. We didn't take any areas from Russia. Budget modifier is was very low at the start of the period and is pretty good now, or better at least. There were some fluctuations, but this was sort of the low point, so it's not really representative. More interesting is the budget. Yeah, you can see the relative change for the previous period here. So 34% growth, 35% growth. Budget is up 76%, but this was a low point, so not representative really. But fleet size continues to double. Pensions are higher. Still have our alliance, and we have fought one more war since last time against Russia, lasting 1 year, being some good war operations. Overall assessment, better position than 5 years ago. Absolutely. Alliance still going strong. Stronger economy. Budget is within shouting distance of the others. So you have to keep in mind that fleet, smaller, and budget is smaller. The gap isn't that big, but it's still smaller. I could do a lot with 50,000 extra per year. So the size difference in fleet, it's not shrinking, it's expanding. So let's not overstate how good the situation is. We do have a combat effective fleet. It's small but potent. We have a trouble with bad guns. But fortunately, the 10-year period in the past now has been about the secondaries and the tertiaries. And we have okay 5 and 6 inch guns. But now we need to transition into the 20th century, and we can't keep shooting with -2 quality guns. Not doable, really. Not at all. Tensions are acceptable, but the recent war could push them down. It's only been 1 year. Hope not. Budget modifier is neither high nor low. 16 is just okay, middle of the road. So, plans. Guns. No, really, we must have better guns. We must also continue to expand docks, because eventually we will need to build 20,000 plus ships. So, yeah, it's what it is. We need to hopefully build a 4th batch of heavy cruisers. Not in Great Britain, but that requires acceptable guns. We need a 3rd batch of Bs, also requires acceptable main guns. And I will consider a 3rd batch of light cruisers if I have the money, but only if I can find a good balance between speed and offense-defense. And still know these. But if it takes a very long time for me to get 400 and then 500, then I will consider building some. I forgot to add it, but we also need to look at minesweepers, because mines, yeah, more general term, more wars, short victorious wars like the one against Russia. I'm not saying the China war was bad. It gave us a lot of fun battles. That was actually a very fun war. I would say that it was more fun in the start, while the Chinese had ships anyway, and the Russian battles, but okay. And we got a lot of territories, very good for the strategic position. But in terms of future growth, current and future growth, Russian war was very beneficial. So since tension is so high, getting into another shooting war with China would be absolutely excellent. And beat them up again. I would also welcome another go at Russia. Why wait? Alternate opponent is France, actually, with the French Indochina. Yes, they're allied to the US, but I'm allied to Great Britain, and yeah, US reclaiming the Panama Canal, huge issues with reaching Northeast Asia, so not much they can do. It would be Russia all over again. Same with France, really. So I wouldn't. Once if we invade and take their colonies in Indochina, they are gone. So a quick overall look at decade that has passed since we started playing. Battles and prestige, steady increase. We've had several battles, but yeah, going up from 20 to 51. We only had 2 major battles against China, but we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 against Russia, it says, but clearly there is some form of bug or weirdness here, because we definitely didn't spike up above 50 and then drop down to 40. So somehow related, I think, to our entry into Great Britain's war with Russia. I can't say for sure. I've asked around on the Discord. Probably a weird minor bug. It doesn't affect anything. It just looks kind of funny, I would say. Yeah, not important. Fleet tonnage. We are growing, but everyone else is growing faster. So, like I talked about, we are in a much better position. We have a combat effective fleet, but its size is and will for some time remain rather small. And you can see some of the same issues here. Suddenly Russia's fleet drops all the way down here, and then it spikes back up, and then it drops. But that's from me thinking it. I don't. Or is this the... No, I don't understand it. This has to be bugged somehow. Resources. We are no longer invisible. Yay. Until late 1894, we didn't even have a color on the graph. At least we are growing faster than most of the others, so slowly we will start to maybe gain on them. In terms of resources, I would say Great Britain is S tier, a league of its own. There are no A tiers that stand out. France and the US rather similar at the moment. US will move into A tier, then S tier, then Great Britain will drop to A tier. That will just happen. Germany, Russia, Italy, comparable. Germany will move up to B tier with Germany eventually. I would say we are now D tier. And F tier is Spain and China. So we'll make it to D tier eventually. And these two will forever remain in the F tier. Ships lost. I've lost a total of 1 heavy cruiser, sank through flooding while trying to get back to Japan during one of our battles, with one of the big battles, if I remember correctly, with Chinese. And that's the only loss, even, yeah, without any need to sort of go back and redo anything. We have played pretty aggressively, I would say. I have been on the verge of losing ships, and we have got that battleship torpedoed against Russia. And yeah, I think we've been fairly lucky. The calculated risk, so to speak. Losing any of the legacy ships, not important. Losing some of the new builds, that would have been worse, but they are also going to be scrapped eventually. So it's important not to stress too much. Taking massive losses would have crippled us. Of course, it would have. We need to strengthen our fleet, not weaken it. But losing a ship here and there to torpedoes or fire or flooding or whatever mine strikes, it's yeah. When we almost lost a ship to that mine strike in the last battle against Russia, couldn't do anything about that. But unfortunately, it limped back to port. So my advice is not to stress too much about losses. I remember when I started playing, I would get completely freaked out. I lost something. Now I just same with torpedo strikes. Once you start getting good planes, and the enemy starts, you will get into a battle where you get unlucky or you do something stupid, and then your capital ships will start eating torpedoes, and you just have to shoulders down and just accept that stuff like this happens, and just because you're damaged doesn't necessarily mean that you will sink. Keep crew quality up and you can survive most things, especially if you're a little bit lucky. So I would say I have lost fewer ships than expected. I definitely expected to lose something against Russia, because some of those battles were at close range, bad visibility, and with large numbers of enemy vessels. Remember, we had that very first vessel where I was busy looking elsewhere, and suddenly 3 cruisers were heading straight into the heart of the enemy fleet. I was sure at least one of those would be lost, but we actually managed to turn away just in time. Because as good as my ships are they cannot sort of take fire from 20 enemy ships. Then damage racks up so quickly that they will go down. Great Britain lost at least 4 battleships against was it China, and then most of the cruisers against Russia. AI on AI. I have sunk most of these. 21 battleships, wow. And these are China's losses in our war. Don't think Great Britain sank anything other than maybe some KEs. They were late to the party. So, I'm not saying you should throw your ships away, but some losses are inevitable and ships are bound to be scrapped at some point anyway. So losing a couple of ships here and there in battle, it's actually not a big deal. Just build new ones, new better ones. So it's sink or scrap. So yeah, there's no problem. Quick comparison before we wrap this up between our current position and a 1900 start. Now, prestige is obviously higher now because you always start with a flat 20. That gives us some options, but it's more a gauge of how many battles we've fought. The budget for a 1900 start compensated for fleet size 10 would be 186,200 versus our current 230. So significantly stronger now. And that is, if you look here, with us having a 16 budget modifier instead of the default 18 you need for this. And this is reflected in base resources and colonies, both much higher. This one is 35% nearly higher than your normal, and this is 3 times your normal colonies. Dock size is 50% bigger. We have 11 and 12-inch guns. Bad guns, but still. Our fleet size is larger because if you started in 1900, you would only get a size 8 starting fleet. We have basing in Northeast and Southeast Asia, giving us a better strategic position, and we have a strong alliance. Budget mod is slightly lower but can be improved. We are missing 3 techs that we would have starting out. Counter-flooding valves, 400-ton destroyers, and wireless telegraphy. We are also missing 7, 9, and 10-inch quality -1 guns. That's pretty big. And even worse, we are missing quality 0, 5, and 8-inch guns. I cannot overstate how big a difference that is, especially going forward. So if we built a legacy fleet, then we would have better guns and better technology available to build that fleet. So qualitatively, I could build a better fleet with a 1900 start than an 1890 start, clearly, when things have turned out the way they have. Maybe I could have researched at 12% all the way, but I suspect that wouldn't have mattered. That's 12%. I think that's effectively around 11% or something because of the declining returns. I don't quote me on that, but it seems reasonable to expect that. So, yeah, better guns, better tech, better ships, basically. But I would have started with a smaller fleet, but I would have had no trash ships. Letting the AI generate the starting fleet, then the situation would be very different. Of course, it would be. So conclusions, overall position is much stronger by a good margin. Economy, alliance, strategic position, yeah. And like I said, if I use manual build of legacy fleet, quality would be better, but size would be even smaller. But this is my hill, where I will climb up and die if necessary, but gun research is just... What is this system? You have no idea what's coming, when it's coming. You get no feedback. We have nearly researched 12-inch guns. It just, oh, you get a 7-inch gun, and you're like, I'm not using 7-inch guns. I use caps here to underline my point, but it's starting to become ridiculous. I have researched 2 guns, I think, or did I research 1 and purchase another? But -2 quality big guns are completely okay. You have to pick them up at some point, but where are all the better, smaller guns that I am? If I bother to go through the save files, I'm very certain that most, if not all, of the AI nation have gotten several useful guns, while I have gotten none. Think about that. I have been medium-high research on guns, but nothing I can actually... Well, mustn't grumble. Instead, we need to go back to playing. And that concludes episode 18. Now we are ready to actually start playing in the 20th century. A lot of PowerPoint. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. So thank you for watching, and see you again in the next one.